down to it yesterday. I'll go over
My generation, the way they drive it, it's like they're on drug street.
We sat there for the veterans day, in this car.
Yeah, I was so much sleeping, I looked over, I was going over there, by the time I figured I got to
Afternoon, everyone. Please help me open the meeting by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fiscal Officer, please call the roll. Trustee Meeting? Yes. Trustee Jesperger? Yes. Fiscal Officer Steer? Total Flags. Township Administrator?
Here.
Chief of Police?
Here.
And Chief of Fire.
Here.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility. I'll second. Trustee Jesperger? Yes. Trustee Sarah? Yes. Utilizing that flexibility, let's jump right to Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District is here for their stormwater management presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nice to see everybody. Thanks for having me. I will make Nathan Ralph from Public Health his apologies. He just called me on the way. He just got out of the meeting and wasn't going to be able to attend. So I will try to cover his information as well as mine. So this is our annual meeting update for the stormwater permit that the townships and the county hold. We do have a new permit that has new 5-year permit that started this year. So we are updating some language in as far as our outreach goes and the stormwater management plan to meet some of the items that are in that new permit language. It doesn't really affect what we're doing too much with everybody. As far as that goes, it has more to do with a lot of it is based on the TMDL language for the Great Lakes area, which had to be applied across the state to their state permit. So we're looking at total maximum daily loading, pollutant loading of streams and impaired waterways is where that really affects. We have some areas in the county that are affected by that, and we're addressing that by updating a lot of our outreach language to reflect some of that TMDL language. So if you have a chance to use some of our information in your outreach and newsletters to partners, please do that. That's one way that we're meeting those goals and getting that outreach for that materials. I have some brochures for development department. You can get some development in your area, some practical tips for development and things you can hand out and let them know that. As far as Nathan goes, the public health, we're talking about illicit discharge and detection and elimination. So any sanitary issues, anything that you have in your community that if it doesn't smell right and it's going into the storm sewer, contact one of us. That's something that we are very keen on looking at, and it is a part of the permit conditions that we look at eliminating those discharges. So something to think about. Like I say, if you ever have those reports, be sure you get hold of public health for sure on something like that, or us as well. We're able to do that as well. Continued outreach. We just passed through Stormwater Awareness Week. I hope you were aware of that and got our information and perhaps participated in some of that. We will be doing that on an annual basis as a way of kind of getting a bigger message out to the communities. It's a way of really consolidating our messaging. It's your opportunity to take ownership of that as well. Plan events around that 3rd week of October. I think it's the 16th through the 23rd for 22. If you have an opportunity for events during that time, or You know, a lot of townships I see even just put it on the board outside, you know, the electronic board or whatever they've got is, hey, it's Stormwater Week, you know, and just observe it that way, or pass a resolution that you're observing it that week. But that's about it. Do you have any questions for me?
Do you have a rain barrel program for residents?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
You'll have to contact us.
All right, we will, and then we'll put it on.
Yeah, there's definitely a rebate program for rain barrels for communities. I'll have to look at which ones, but I'm sure you guys are good for that.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Here's
sir.
the map, and
Nice to see
let
you.
you be on your ways. Thanks, good to see you.
Okay. So, I'd like to make a motion to approve the November 3rd meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesperger?
Yes.
Trustee Sarah? Yes. And we are on to the fiscal report. Okay, so October 1st, the township had an overall fund balance of $8,055,055.93. Revenue last month was $313,490.67, leaving us with an overall fund balance on October 31st of $8,691,758.55. I'll make a motion to approve the October fiscal report.
I'll second.
All right, Trustee Jesperger?
Yes.
Trustee Sarah? Yes. So we have a request for a motion to contract with visiting clerk Melissa Tremblay again for assistance in the fiscal office for an amount not to exceed $2,500, utilizing Fund 1,110,319. So moved.
I'll second.
And just before I do the roll call, I'll speak to this. Melissa Tremblay is on the list of UAN called visiting clerk. She's also an elected fiscal officer. She helped me get into the UAN system. And I'd like to use her help just as our post-audit and double checking some stuff. So this is not an ongoing staff person. And that's why I put that on the agenda. So any other questions or discussion about that?
I just want to say, just for kind of historical purposes, this isn't the first time we've done this. We did it for this exact amount in about 2016. I was kind of surprised it's still the same kind of cost structure actually 5 years later, so that's a big deal. So what are the goals, I guess I would just say? What are
So
we're going to be working on?
we wrapped up our 18-19 audit. There's a final fund balance adjustment that I'd like your help with. And so it seems prudent to just go over those findings, try to avoid future findings. And then I would like to create some new funds going into next year. So it's just very helpful to have another set of eyes. And I believe she's been an FO for like 20 plus years. And probably going into next year, I'll seek an ongoing assistant. So this is really just trying to get myself ready for that.
Thanks.
Okay, the roll call, Trustee Jesperger,
Yes.
Trustee Sarah.
Yes. Make a motion to approve the social media policy for departments.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the roll call? Traditionally, we wait for a second before we chat about it if we want to.
Okay.
Okay. Trustee Jesperger,
Yes.
Trustee Sarah.
Yes. Number 10 is my item, discussion of a grant for fast electric chargers for vehicles. I don't know if you've had any conversation with anyone else about this yet. There's a grant that we learned about that would reimburse the township for fast electric chargers that are made available to the public. We, in Sustainability Land, kind of had some interest in that when we saw it. I thought it would be a great public service in order to offer that, and as part of our encouraging of, moving towards electric vehicles in our fleet, but, this for helping the public. And of course, it's a grant. We have no idea whether we'll get it. We have no idea whether we'll get it all really done in time, much less have the award. But before we expended a bunch of energy on that, I wanted to make sure you felt like you are down with the general idea of having a parking space or two out front with this charging machinery there that would have 24-hour access. So I also wanted to hear from chiefs on that, since I haven't had a chance to talk to them too. If anybody has any concerns about that, if it seems like something we feel good about pursuing.
Is this, the email that Chief Jones sent? Like the article? That is- I read that. Well, so what would you think, Chief Jones?
No, I think, I think Matt and Trustee Sarah went to a virtual meeting regarding that. But yeah, I think with our infrastructure, out front, with that capability, I think it'd be a good idea. We have, the electric charging out back for the police and code vehicles. But again, things that I'm reading in forums and dealing with the car manufacturers such as Ford and Dodge, by 2026, most of the manufacturers, it's going to be electric vehicles everywhere.
And this program specifically kind of prioritizing government sites for, locations so that people can start to kind of predict and get a grip on that growing network of charging opportunities for people, so.
Who would, do the actual grant, like you would write it, or would it be Matt?
Well, I've offered to help Matt with it, and we thought that we would also ask our Energility partners for some help with collecting some of the data that we'll need and so forth in order to support it. So we might have a couple more sort of contractual hours with them, but I think we structured that so that we have some flexibility there anyway. So we thought we would give it a go, but again, I didn't want to dig in there before we had this conversation.
I like it.
Okay.
My understanding of the grant is it would help potentially pay for the installation of the chargers. I would like to look at the Premier charging station that OSU runs, because they have you swipe a card before you charge. So I personally have driven a hybrid plug-in. It only has a 10-mile battery. And as much as I'm for this, I also wonder who would be paying for the future consumption of kilowatts, because a full-on electric vehicle would take a lot more energy than the little basic one I've been driving around. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I believe we can do it for the betterment of the community. And I would just sort of encourage us, if we could emulate what the folks are doing along Kinnear Road, you can see what individuals are charging, when they're charging, and possibly give us this flexibility if somebody's charging a lot more than somebody else, to say there's a sort of capacity. I don't have to always let you charge there for free endlessly. That it's supposed to be for everyone, not one particular person.
I'm not sure it is for free.
And I'm not sure it is for free. Maybe it would be a charge service.
Yeah.
It sounds awesome, but it also has this can of worms of I wouldn't want somebody being greedy and taking all the kilowatts.
The other piece to just kind of be clear about too is that it's a reimbursement grant, so we are into it for the
We pay for the
installation and
installation.
stuff on our
Yes.
own, and then after the correct amount of bookkeeping and fulfillment of their requirements, we'll get the reimbursement based on that.
Yeah, so my hunch is most folks like the idea, but just in the longer picture, making sure we're not saying I'm going to charge somebody's vehicle across the street endlessly. Thanks.
Lots to still find out, but I just wanted to get the go-ahead, so we'll find out more. Thanks. So, committee reports. Chief Fraley, you want to tackle that one?
Sure, I can see from the chat. Produce market results, 44 pounds of produce was distributed to 81 families representing 218 individuals. Our next market will be December 10th from 4 to 6 here at this location.
And those are 4 to 6 p.m. or 4 until food runs out?
4 until food
sorry, what's the date again?
December 10th.
I'll just briefly report that, I'm still hoping to get in on this year's cycle of applications for the Tree City USA program. Guy Royce, our new crew leader in Public Works, has got that crew started planting. We have some new trees in on the west side at the circle, and we're gonna be working on some more at the playground next, and hopefully beyond that, we'll look into the community garden on this side of town. All of it is weather dependent, and we're up against a like December 3rd deadline on that application, so we'll just have to kind of see how successful we are with that time frame, but just want to let everyone know that we have at least begun.
I believe Guy had stated they were planning on planting some tomorrow afternoon.
Great,
They picked up some additional trees today.
great. Thanks. I think over to you, Mr. Huffman.
First, I'd like to request a motion to authorize the township administrator to prepare and submit a letter of consent for Watershed Distillery's request for a temporary expansion of a liquor permit premises.
So moved.
I'll second.
That, just to kind of say that is on December 4th, from 11 to 3 at their location on Chesapeake.
And this permit does what for them?
I'm sorry.
What does the permit do for them? What do they do?
It allows them to expand their outdoor capabilities of providing beverages to adults. They'll shut down the road and then have it barricaded, people watching the entrances and making sure individuals don't have a little too much.
Are they going to ask our police to help with, like having police officers at the parts where it's like blocked off on the street?
No, we've authorized them to have road closures in the past. This is kind of a community Christmas time holiday event for them, from what they've told me. It is open to the public between those hours, and it's apparently they have some new spirits they've come up with for the holidays, so it's kind of like an open event. And having the outdoor space because of COVID allows them to have more people to be able to come and participate in that, so. But no, they don't have special duty officers per se there, but we have never experienced that. They've done this for 3 years now. We haven't had any issues there, so.
They did say that there'll be on-site tours, tastings, marshmallow roastings, food and drink, music, and more.
Great.
And it is a family event.
All right, you ready for the roll call? Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero?
Yes.
Secondly, request a PO in amount not to exceed $20,000 payable to 83 Construction for the purchase of a hoop structure for future salt barn, and authorize township administrator to execute agreements payable from line item 1000-760-720.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero?
Yes.
And lastly, appoint township administrator to represent Clinton Township on SWACO's advisory board.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero?
Yes, thanks for being willing to do that. Anything else for your section? Okay. Chief Riley, where do you?
We would like to request a PO in the amount of $12,805.12 payable to W.W. Williams for repairs to engine 61 from Fund 2111-220-323.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero?
Yes. How we doing on delivery news?
Supply chain issues, radios are nowhere to be found at this point, so we're going to have some time.
Just wondering if we're gonna repair it again before we get the new one.
Right,
Sadly,
right.
probably.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Next, we'd like to request a PO in the amount of $12,000 payable to Pin Care for modifications to Medic 61 from Fund 2281-230-323.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero?
Yes. And
Just a quick update on the community fridge. The Walford Market has decided to partner with us and keep us in stock with drinks for the fridge.
Great.
So over the 2 weeks, they'll be donating a case of water or pop or Gatorade that we can go pick up.
Great.
Good place.
Yeah.
I shop in there all the time.
Are we have some events in place to publicize a thank you to them occasionally, promote their business for them a little bit?
Obviously, Facebook will happen quite frequently. I asked them for any type of stickers or anything they may have, and they didn't want to do that. But obviously, I want to make sure everybody's aware they are helping us out.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Chief Jones?
Yes, I'd like to request a resolution. This is kind of going off spot stuff we're cleaning up. Resolution permitting police to have a custodial bank account with our fiscal officer to monitor funds from police property room. Basically what this is, whenever we make an arrest, we don't take funds to the Franklin County Jail. Any monies that people would have on them, we impound them for safekeeping. We deposit that into a bank so that we don't keep cash in our property room, and then it's given back to them in the form of a check. So it's kind of a checks and balances that we're years ago, we used to have a cigar box that held people's money in it in a locked room. We stopped doing that a couple years ago. So we just have to have a resolution that authorizes this account.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero? Yes.
Next, I'd like to request a resolution to hire Justine Hadley as a part-time police officer pending physical and drug screen effective November 17th, 2021 at $21.50 per hour. That's from Fund 2081-210-100.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero? Yes.
The only final thing I have is just an information piece as well. We did a community outreach event that was hosted by the Franklin County Sheriff's Office Hope Task Force, Clinton Township Police, and we had an officer from Mifflin Township participate. And that was this past Saturday, where we had Narcan training was available. There was also 117 people served. There was 75 bags of toys distributed to families, and also 50 bags of a variety of different foods and housekeeping items and products for folks that needed some hygiene issues as well. So again, 117 people. We actually ran out of stuff before 12:30. We wanted to go until 2, but there was a big need for that, and we actually had cars lined up on Cleveland Avenue. Glenda got some pictures of that for us. So.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know that, maybe you're already aware, but the North Linden Facebook page, that's the North Linden discussion group, picked out the post from the Franklin County site, so it got a lot of footwork through Linden, just in terms of getting the message out before that day, and they did, have Clinton Township in there as a piece of,
Yeah.
location information and stuff,
So a lot bigger turnout than the one we did a few months back, so it was pretty well received.
yeah, widely seen. Great, thank you. Okay, we have no new public works business. We are to code compliance. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. Since the agenda was put together, the residents at this address have made quite a bit of progress in cleaning up their property. At this point, I don't want to take any further action. I think I'm just going to keep an eye on it. And they have a couple things left in their front yard, but I've been told by them that that'll be picked up tomorrow, which is trash day. So.
You're great. Excellent. How's everything else going for you?
Pretty good.
All right.
Enjoying the job.
All right, nice. Good to hear. I thought maybe you were going to ask something. Okay. We are to appreciations. Good time to say happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Just what else? Bobby?
I have 2 questions. Why have we gone down to just?
Hey, can we just make sure there were no other appreciations first, and then I'll be happy to.
I thought you called
That's okay. I'll be happy to. I just wanted. Don't want to leave us.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You go ahead. Looks like we're done. Go ahead.
I was just wondering why we went down to one produce market from two. I don't come, but I just wondered.
Just for these 2 months, November and December due to the holidays.
Okay,
And then we go back to 2 beginning of January. January, February, March, we have 2 per month scheduled.
okay.
And we increased that number because of COVID. I'm not sure if you remember that or not. We're gonna reevaluate that after the new year and see if we're gonna continue 2 per month for the rest of the year.
Okay, thank you. My other question concerns the trees on the other side. How many trees are you planning on putting in the playground?
I believe when Guy went out to do some measuring, because we had talked about the field part, the grassy field.
Right, the part between past the basketball court there, yeah.
In the back of the grass.
Yeah,
Okay.
grass and then along the privacy fence there.
Right, so he thinks he could fit about 9 trees in the field in order to space them out appropriately and watch out for overhead wires. And then we're probably only talking about 2 or 3 kind of understory trees there in the area, behind the silver maple, behind the shelter house.
What kinds of trees and how tall are they gonna be? Can you tell me that?
We have the tree list that we're selecting trees from, and he's gonna put a couple of shade trees that would be big in the center, and then only shorter, more like 20, 30-foot trees around the edges where the power lines run overhead.
I have a concern about so many trees in that area. In our opinion, we don't even need any, but if you want to put some in, I think 2 or 3 would be enough. My concern is that with that many trees, and those roots are gonna grow, and in a matter of time, they're gonna undermine the basketball court from the front and from the side. Because my big trees in the front yard have undermined my driveway over and over again. So those roots are gonna come and go under that basketball court and undermine the basketball court. I can understand if you wanna put some trees there, but it seems to me that's an awful lot. 2 or 3 would do it just fine.
I will chat with him about how close he figures he's coming to the court, but my immediate understanding was we weren't gonna get that close, so.
Well, I had to stop down
He
there.
will clarify.
Yeah, I had to stop there the day they were looking at the X's that were marked on the ground. I didn't go for that reason, I went for a different reason, but they had to be doing that. And they looked for those last X's, seemed to be pretty close to the basketball court. And particularly if you put any along that privacy fence, that space isn't very wide. Those definitely will come over and undermine the basketball court.
When you say the privacy fence, do you mean over by the other side of the shelter house from the basketball court?
Yeah, but you were talking, they said you were talking about the privacy fence of that house that faces Gerard there and backs up to, there's a space there between that privacy fence and the basketball court. And they had marked like 3 places there to put trees.
Yeah.
And I thought, we're gonna have so many trees, we aren't gonna, I don't know.
I will, if he's gonna do some more planting tomorrow, I will get in touch with Guy tonight and see what the plan is. We've been working from a diagram together and I'll clarify, thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I am concerned about that. I know, those roots can't
We're
go around.
not gonna plant anything that close that's that big that is gonna have root damage. Absolutely. Because especially the ones near the area you're really concerned about, those are gonna be small understory trees, like,
Well, I know somebody mentioned to me the concern about cutting the grass with all those trees too, how that's gonna,
Well, that's why Public Works is doing it. Row mowing is a thing.
And the good news is these aren't silver maples. The ones in your front yard are silver maples, and those things grow too fast, too big. So we're not doing silver maples from my memory.
some maples were mentioned. What kind of maples are they talking about?
They're cultivars of red maples that are this fall color.
Yeah.
Okay, are they more of a hard maple rather than a soft maple?
Correct. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Oh, they don't grow as big as the
Right.
soft maples,
Right.
okay. Yeah.
What other items are there, if any, to come before the board? Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to enter an executive. Oh, we do, I'm sorry.
Why have these trees, why not put money into the police department? We just got robbed.
I lost over $3,000 of tools and stuff.
Yeah. Because we don't have enough.
Well, that's not counting the $1,500 I've had to spend so far fixing the garage.
Why don't they have more money?
To add more officers. Full-time officers.
I am not sure where we're gonna end that's gonna make everyone happy. Like, how many is enough? How many really prevents crime at what sort of figure for our population? Because the last time I checked, and the last conversation I had with Chief Jones, was per capita, 1,000 people, we want to look at staffing levels around 2-point-something positions per 1,000 residents. And if you go by that sort of guideline, we're right about there. We're appropriately staffed. There's never going to be enough police to prevent every crime from happening until we park one in everybody's driveway.
I used to have an officer going by continuously. I mean, you would see him all the time. Now you don't see him because there's not enough of them.
Where they
Why
at?
isn't there a grant for the police department to have more officers? I think we need protection, more than trees.
Yeah, the law enforcement grants, if I can speak for a second, just, they're not there like they used to be. JAG grants, there were residential grants, there were grants to hire officers. I remember back in 2016, we had a grant that enabled us to purchase a police car. The federal grant money for law enforcement has been dried up for probably the last 6 years. We are waiting to see what happens with these bills that are being passed. It's potentially, if they do come and we get grant money, that we apply for anything we can get. I just applied for a $25,000 grant from Firehouse Subs for equipment. I mean, we're reaching out to private parties to try to get grant money. It's a little different on the fire side. They have different grant resources, but for law enforcement, sometimes those things kind of ebb and flow. And with what we have, we are searching, trust me.
You're searching for grant money from private entities for how much?
Yeah, I just applied for a $25,000 grant for equipment through Firehouse Subs. So they subsidize some fire departments and also police departments. So yeah, anything that I can find that can benefit this police department, we're looking.
No, I understand, like they say, like you said, standard is what, 2.5 officers per 1,000? That would be fine if we weren't in the area where you have flyers coming out telling us about rapists that live in our neighborhood. Okay, there's bad people here. So that 2.5 doesn't work here. That may work in New Albany, Clintonville, but it doesn't work in Clinton Township. So we need more. Departments everywhere, and I know police and fire have to deal with them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I see here where we just hired another part-time officer. That's all we've been hiring lately. We haven't hired any full-time officers. And you can't run a full-time police department with just part-time officers. You've got to have full-time officers there. It's not gonna work.
Right.
You can't. I mean, you could hire 10 more for part-timers, but that's still not gonna make a whole lot of difference because you can't force part-timers to work. They can schedule it, but they can call in and say, we're not coming in. You don't have that with full-time officers. You don't have the reliability with part-timers that you do with full-timers. So like I say, you just can't run a full-time police department with part-time officers. It doesn't work.
And we understand that, and after having many conversations with Chief Jones myself, it turns into, it's just COVID, where nobody wants to do this anymore, and the atmosphere and the community and their attitudes towards law enforcement don't obviously help the situation, and it's turned a lot of police officers away, or sheriffs away, or deputies away from wanting to do this. So at this point, we're only able to find part-time officers. And I don't know if there's any possibility that some of our part-timers would ever want to turn full-time.
That was my next question. What about some of the part-timers becoming full-time?
Yeah, right now, the part-time people, I mean, we went to the actual police academies for the last 3 people that we recruited here in the last couple of months. And it took us until they finished that academy. We actually kind of met these people about 6 months ago when they went into the academy, kept them on our radar, and then they joined us. The thing with even full-time officers right now, most of the township police departments, and you can call any chief in Franklin County, Perry Township, Sharon Township, Mifflin, we're all hurting for people. The larger departments have taken, some of our full-time folks. We can't recruit like they do. Many of the big departments are laterally hiring agencies from Columbus officers that are leaving CPD or going to Whitehall, Gahanna, and those areas. So for us, even to get full-time people is very difficult. We have a deputy sitting back here. They're looking for 200 people to fill the sheriff's department. They're putting advertisements on TV and radio, trying to recruit for full-time deputies that make a lot more than we do. They can't fill jobs. So it's a regional, statewide, countrywide type thing right now with law enforcement. Trust me, it's not just us.
You can't really blame people for not wanting to do it when nobody will stand behind the officers.
Right. And, I got a question. Why can't we get a hold of the police department? Call in here, get a dispatcher, sitting out there doing nothing but answering phones. Saying, hey, you go here, go there. You gotta call sheriff's department, you gotta go through all kinds of, she called here a while back, and first thing out of the mouth, you need a car, they asked her 3 times if she needed a cruiser. Why can't they call here and get a Clinton Township cop?
We don't have dispatchers here, all that's done downtown.
Why don't we have
Oh,
one?
it's downtown?
It's downtown. Because of the 911 systems and federal mandates, it would cost us about $20 million.
Put a Clinton Township dispatcher down there in downtown.
But, I
Can't
mean,
call, if I call Columbus Police Department, I'm gonna get Columbus Police Department.
that's, well, and for
Right.
CPD now is all civilian.
Huh?
They've taken all the officers out of communications at
Well,
CPD. It's
I
all
don't care if they're
civilians.
civilians or not. I need,
Yeah.
when I call somebody, I got a police department, they should be doing something. I mean, as far as answering phones, so I can get them.
If you're having trouble when you call down there, that's something, let me know about it, and I can call down.
Oh, yeah, she called and,
Even when there's an accident,
Yeah.
I go to the,
yeah, who'd you call
I call
Sunday, Monday?
I call their number,
Called their number, who'd you get?
sheriff's department.
Sheriff's Department, oh my goodness.
And then they him haul around with you.
They
And
wanna
if
know
somebody's dying,
your life history before they do anything. Then when she called here a while back, we had trouble. Like I say, do you need a cruiser? Do you need a cruiser? I asked her 3 times. And she called 911 when she did that. Because there was trouble going on.
So maybe this would be a good opportunity to have Chief Jones maybe speak to someone at the sheriff's department to address the line of communication and simply see what that process is, to see if that's something that we can encourage them to improve.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, it's civilians, not in the sheriff's office now, right? There's no, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't care who's civilian or not, as long as they do their job.
But that's something I
Don't
can do
beat
to
around
call
the bush
them
about
because
doing it.
we pay for that service. So that's something that we have a little control over, that I can call down there and speak to a supervisor or manager down here. Because when you call 911, yeah, we're paying $11.80 for that call for them to dispatch our cars.
They didn't dispatch your car, they dispatched Mifflin Township and the Sheriff's Department.
Well, I'm just telling you, we pay
oh, they were.
We pay. for that service.
They were on
So that's something we can call them about.
Just the idea of getting a Clinton Township officer
Yeah, they were on a gun call
that day.
And that's something I can talk to the deputy chiefs or the sheriff about. And when I hear concerns, that's when I call them down there and say, hey, some of our residents have had an issue calling down, we'll get that corrected. Because yeah, we pay money for them for that service, so we are a customer just like you are to them for that service. So that's something we'll look into.
Thanks, Chief.
Anything else?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to enter an executive session pursuant to ORC 121.22G, discuss the employment or compensation of public employees.
I'll second.
Trustee Jeffberger?
Yep.
Trustee Sarah? Yes.
My hands hurt.
This one's a good one. I like this stretch. Stretch up and then put pressure on your fingertips. Good.
Okay, we are back in session at 1:05. I would like to make a motion to give Devin Alba a raise, a 1.5% raise, effective October 4th, 2021.
I'll second.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Sarah?
Yes. With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. 1:05.